Hey there, it's me, Lottie, and today what we're gonna do is make a dandelion vinegar. I was talking to a friend of mine, well, texting really, and just catching up on how we were doing, and she asked what I was doing today, and I said I was gonna go out and gather some dandelions and some violets and other stuff, and she said, hey, me too. Well, now what are we going to do with them? LOL. So I told her I appreciated her spirit, and then that got me to thinking, like, we could do a very easy thing. We could make a dandelion vinegar. So what I think I'm going to do is we're going to make a vinegar using all the parts of the dandelion, the root, the leaf, and the flower. So this would be a real great beginning exercise. You just need to be able to forage from a clean place. Clean as in no pesticides, herbicides, pet or animal waste, miracle grow, that kind of nonsense, auto exhaust, all of that. So let's start with a tool. This right here. This is my favorite. This is called a hori-hori. H-O-R-I-H-O-R-I. A hori-hori, and it is a digging knife. It is sharp and serrated. Has these markings. It's made for digging. A lot of times we can put something in the ground and it'll bend up, But so let's try getting in here and liberating this first dandelion. This ground is kind of rocky, but we'll see. Did I get the root intact? Feels like I might have broke it. I broke that root off. Okay, we can do better next time. Try to do better next time, all right? See? And it would have been a nice size root too. See there? Where I broke it off at. So let's try again. You know what? Maybe I'll try one that's further out in the lawn as opposed to like close to this rocky, quote unquote, garden. There's a lot of other stuff popping up too that we might use in our vinegar. Let's see if this one will do better. I cut deeply around it already. There we go. That's what we want. We want a nice intact root. See the dandelion root? These are some teeny weeny little dandelions. There we go. Yep, and we're just gonna clean these off and pop them right into a mason jar full of vinegar. The flower, the leaves, and the root. So it took me a minute to get the hang of getting them out with the root intact. But as you can see, I've been a little more successful here. So I'm going to continue to collect a few more, and then we'll take these in the house. Even though it's a relatively small root, dandelions have what is called a tap root, meaning one good root. There are some little branch offs, but not like plants that have like a matted root system, For example, grass. See how this is just a tangle of really small roots. There's not like one main one. I'm going to put that right back in our hole so we don't end up with a lawn full of dandelion holes. Okay, I'm going to try to show you this one more time, what I learned about how to get the roots out the best. So we're going to kind of lift up the leaves because we want those, right? And then you're going to go in straight down. You could use a knife for this. Now, but contrary to what I did before and what you might feel like you want to do, I'm going to push away from the root because I don't want to cut that root. I don't want to pop it. So I'm about to go around here, push away, go on this side, push away, or toward the flower, away from the root on this side. Toward the flower, away from the root. Now, what you should have is a nice plug that you can lift out, right? Here's our plug. And you would then clean away, put that back in the hole, clean everything away. Try and do this with one hand. You clean everything away, and ideally you would have had a full root. We also have a few violets that are ready, so those would make a nice addition to our vinegar. Now I usually make a huge batch of spring vinegar a little bit later in the year. I have a video on that already. I can link it below. But just wanted to show you violets popping out. The leaves are edible. The flowers are edible. They look great in salads. You could use the flowers to decorate the top of a cake or cupcakes. You can dip them in powdered sugar and make sugared violets. You can put them on cookies before you bake them, and that would be pretty. But I think we're going to clip a few of these. Might as well, right? Do a little foraging today. And then we have some ground ivy here that's already in bloom. So I could go on and on and on, right? And just keep on adding to this vinegar. I am going to collect a little bit of the ground ivy. It's interesting, it's blooming really early this year. And because these have been calling out to me so much to work with them this year, I think we'll include some purple dead nettle in this here spring tonic vinegar infusion extraordinaire. So let me clip a few of these. Oh, and look at here, we found a few sprigs of early spearmint. This vinegar keeps growing and growing and growing, doesn't it? That'll be good. And, okay, for real, this will be the last one. This is some beautiful catnip. Beautiful catnip. Now, I want you to see how, do you see this stem? Once again, I know I say this all the time. Square stem, mint fam, fuzzy plant. Has a distinct sort of minty, earthy smell to it. It's a great digestive, bitter, and it helps for nervous stomach. So we're going to put a little bit of this in there. Okay, so the last thing for real this time, I grabbed some of the anise hyssop. It's still pretty little, but I have, it's kind of shady over here, but you can see I have an abundance of it coming up in this planter. So it is not going to miss a few leaves. And it's a good taste. It's a great cough and cold remedy, a decongestant. It's a nice minty aromatic. So let's put that in our spring tonic vinegar. Now remember, you can just put dandelion. This did start out as a dandelion vinegar. So the dandelion was like, and I brought a few friends along. Okay, so now that we have our little wild fun, for the most part, these just need a quick spray. The leaves, the things that are just leaves and flowers, throwing them here in this colander. And we're going to just give them a nice but thorough spray off so that any dirt or ants, anything that decided to come home with us, is rinsed off. Now the dandelions, I'm going to put in a bit more water because I really want those roots to be cleaned off. But everything else is here at the party. And then here we have a nice clean mason jar. I thought I was going to make a pint, but it looks like I need a quart jar. You could chop these up if you wanted to. Sometimes I like to leave them whole though because I just like the way it looks. Do whichever you want. Get in there. Again, trying to do this with one hand. You know what? I might end up with 2 vinegars here. Yeah, let me get another jar. Ha! For the dandelions, I want to get them actually into some water. I rinsed off a lot of the dirt, but you really want to get in there, and make sure your roots are clean. You see that cute little spray thing floating around here. So for the dandelions, I really want to get them in some water and, because those roots, hey, it's a root down in the dirt, and then you can just like rub them. You could scrub them with the scrub brush, but these aren't really that big and it doesn't take much to get the earth off of them. So what I'm going to do is let them soak for a little while. And then I will put them back in the colander and strain them. So then we have them back in the colander, and I'm just going to give them a quick spray, but they're clean. One thing I like about making herbal medicine, there is a mindfulness to it. There's a slower pace to it. You have to just take your time. It takes a lot of time to dig up enough roots to make a whole bag of dandelion root that you order, or dandelion leaf that you order. And that should be considered as we prepare this medicine, as we give thanks for this medicine. So I'm going to rinse this off, and I'm going to actually chop these roots with a pair of scissors so they're nice and small, and then add them to our jars. And when you're cleaning your dandelion, you do want to take your time to really go through and make sure there's nothing other than dandelion. Dandelions come out with grass and other things attached to them, so just take your time cleaning them. So now what I'm doing is I'm cutting off everything except the root, and that way I can put the leaves and the flowers into our vinegar, but the root I can chop up. So I decided to go with a knife instead of scissors here. It just was a little bit easier. And for the roots, you do want to have as much surface area, so cutting them into small pieces helps the vinegar or whatever liquid you're extracting your root goodness into, helps it do a better job. So I was going to do 2 jars, but I think I'm just going to put everything in 1 jar here and see how that does. I had taken everything out so I could give things just 1 more rinse. And now I'm going to fill up my jar with all of my herbal goodness. And you can put these in whole, like I said. Sometimes I just like the way it looks with everything floating around in there and all the leaves and the blossoms. But you definitely can take the time to chop this up if you want to. Just give it a rough chop or whatever you feel comfortable with. And now it's smelling so good in here. Smells so herbaceous. This is really going to be a good vinegar. So now I'm packing everything in. Doesn't that look great? So we have our jar that's filled to the brim with our goodness. Now if it was packed down, it would be about, well, it is pretty full. It's about, I don't know, half a jar. If it's really packed down, it's half a jar. I could make this into 2 jars, you guys. I just didn't want to make 2 jars. So we're going to keep it in 1 jar for now. I can always add more herbs. I can always divide it out later and add more vinegar. Doesn't that look pretty? And what we have here is some organic apple cider vinegar with the mother. And we just fill this up to the brim. That was cool. Artwork. And there we go. Our first vinegar of the spring. You know, I'm always making infused vinegars. This one is particularly good for supporting the liver, for gut health, for digestion, for gentle elimination and diuretic. Look at the roots are all on the bottom there. So dandelion root, catnip, creeping Charlie or ground ivy, purple dead nettle, and violet vinegar. That was easy. And again, you could just do dandelion. Dandelion by itself is a great liver support, digestive aid. It is a quote-unquote detoxifier, so it helps with elimination, urination. It's a great spring cleanser. So feel free to just make it with dandelion. But if you see any of these other goodies in your yard, consider them too. So once your vinegar has sat for about at least 2 weeks, it can sit as long as you want, really, but anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks for optimal flavor. But like I said, you could let it sit longer than that if you want to. So we are ready for a taste. And we're going to have it in one of my favorite ways. Like I said, you let it sit for a couple weeks, then you can take it either by the tablespoonful. Let's see what it's looking like. It's not strained, so we have to work around that a little bit. It's a nice, sort of got a pinkish hue to it. You can strain it at this point. You can add honey to it. You can cut it with some water when you take it because it is vinegar. One of the favorite ways I like to take it is as a mocktail, like a vitamin C mocktail. So I have my tangerine flavored vitamin C pack. I have about 4 ounces of ice water here. I'm just going to mix that up. I have my gorgeous thrift store martini glass. Haven't been doing a lot of martinis or thrift stores lately, but I have this nice little hodgepodge of glasses. So just going to mix that up until the vitamin C powder has dissolved. That looks good. We're just going to add it into our lovely glass. Stir that up just a little bit more. And there, that's one way you can take your Spring Detox Vinegar, is to mix it with a little vitamin C pack. Or you can just mix it with water, tea, put it in your water bottle. I wouldn't take it straight because it is vinegar and it's pretty strong. You can use it as a salad dressing. You can use it when you make greens, anything that you would use vinegar for. That is what you can use this for. All right, as always, take care and I will see you at the next video. Until then, peace.